Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Had a wonderful evening last night. Me, fact-checker Jonathan, Kaori, and my buddy Ryan, we all went to go see Solo last night. I enjoyed the film quite a bit, as you guys already know. My friends all loved it, so yay, that was great. But I gotta share something else with you here. So before we get into the news, we got a lot of stuff together. Netflix being more valuable than Disney. What? We got obviously the Boba Fett stuff, some Christopher Robin stuff, James Bond news, like a lot of good stuff to talk about here today. But I want to share this with you. For those of you guys who have watched me for any period of time, one of my favorite celebrities in the world is none other than Weird Al Yankovic. Yes, I know it's weird. And it's funny because I've told this story before about how when I've been at like big Hollywood events or been at certain things or even just been out and about, I will feel free to go up and talk to anybody. I don't care. I'll just walk up and talk to anybody. That's fine. The one person I get flustered with and I just can't approach, and I've run into him in about 4 or 5 different places and 4 or 5 different events, is Weird Al Yankovic. And like, Ann will just go up and talk to him. Like, I can't. And he's just, I don't know. I've walked up to Harrison Ford and just started talking to Harrison Ford, but I can't do it to Weird Al Yankovic. Anyway, get home last night. And Ann was out. The reason Ann didn't come with me last night, she was at her sister's graduation. But apparently her and Ray went into this comic book shop, and Ann found this for me and brought it home for me. A Weird Al Yankovic pop. I didn't even know this damn thing existed. He's got his classic fro hair, his accordion, which is awesome. It's been a while since I got a new pop, and Ann went and got me this Weird Al Yankovic pop. Don't tell me that I don't have the greatest wife in the world. How cool is this? Anyway, wanted to share that with you guys. But hey, listen, we got some movie news to get to, so let's go right off the top with this. It was just announced this morning that it is now official. Like, we've known for a while now that Danny Boyle was going to direct, and we've known for a while that Daniel Craig was coming back to be Bond again, but it was never like made official. Anyway, now it is official. Those two are coming back, and they have an official release date for James Bond. James Bond will release on November 8th in 2019. Now, here's why this is interesting. They're going to start shooting this movie in December of this year. So they're going to start shooting this movie in about 7 or 8 months, whatever, in December of this year. And the movie's coming out less than a year after they start shooting. Now, for a lot of films, that's not a big deal. But when you're talking about bigger films, that's a little bit unusual. But then again, James Bond isn't like a visual effects, CGI heavy kind of film. So they can probably get that done. So yes, North America, James Bond 25. We don't have an official title for it yet, but it opens on November 8th, 2019, less than a year after they start filming it in November. So we got Daniel Craig coming back. It's official. Danny Boyle's directing. I'm all on board. I think this sounds like a whole lot of fun and really fantastic. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into our daily dose of the movie news feed. First up, as most of you know, a new Winnie the Pooh-based film, Christopher Robin, is on its way to theaters, and a brand new, completely adorable poster has hit the web. The film stars Ewan McGregor and is described like this. In the heartwarming live-action adventure, Disney's Christopher Robin, the young boy who loved embarking on adventures in the 100-acre wood with a band of spirited and lovable stuffed animals, has grown up and lost his way. Now, it is up to his childhood friends to venture into our world and help Christopher Robin remember the loving and playful boy who is still inside. Christopher Robin hits theaters on August 3rd. Just shut up and take my money. Everything about this movie looks nothing short of awesome. First of all, Ewan McGregor playing Christopher Robin, great casting, all that kind of stuff. The first trailer came out perfect. It's magical. It's whimsical. This whole idea of him coming face to face with Pooh, the look of the characters is brilliant. And this new poster only drives it home even more. I especially love the way Tigger looks. I mean, Pooh looks perfect. Piglet looks perfect. Eeyore, they all look perfect. But there's something about Tigger and the way he looks that really gets me there. Look, everything about this movie has me completely excited to see it. And who would have thought that hearing that a Christopher Robin movie was coming? But this poster is great to go along with the great casting, to go along with the great concept, and to go along with that great trailer. So yeah, I'm completely on board. Next up, Last year's Netflix original film Mudbound became the most successful film awards-wise that the streaming service had ever put out, as it accumulated no less than 4 Academy Award nominations, including one for Best Screenplay that director Dee Reese co-wrote. Now, the director is back with a new film she's putting together for Netflix called The Last Thing He Wanted, which will star Academy Award-winning actress Anne Hathaway. The Last Thing He Wanted centers on a journalist named Elena McMahon, played by Anne Hathaway, who inherits her father's position as a deal maker, an arms deal maker. She soon finds herself on dangerous ground as the Iran-Contra affair's arms for drugs plot reaches its tipping point. If you saw Mudbound, and if you haven't, you easily can just jump on Netflix. Mudbound's right there. You'll understand why this is exciting news. The direction of Mudbound really is the thing that made that movie. It's compelling, it's deep, it's got, really nice narrative going along the way, good character development, all that kind of good stuff that you want there. And it got 4 Academy Award nominations, including Best Screenplay and a Best Supporting Actress nomination and a Best Cinematography nomination. It's a beautifully, wonderfully put together film. The sound of this film, the narration of it, or the synopsis of it at any rate, sounds also pretty intriguing, nothing we haven't seen before. But the pairing of this director with an Academy Award winning actress in Anne Hathaway, and for some reason, there's this hate out there for Anne Hathaway in the last couple of years that I, for the life of me, cannot fathom. This lady has talent coming out of the ears. I mean, she's incredibly good on screen. I do not understand the hate that she gets, especially lately. It's become kind of a popular thing to hate on Anne Hathaway. At any rate, this sounds fantastic to me. It's a wonderful pairing. Let's see where it goes. Next up, the wait for an Incredibles 2 has been a long and painful one, and to be honest, this movie probably should have been in theaters 5 years ago. That notwithstanding, the first box office tracking numbers for the animated sequel have come out, and it looks, well, incredible. According to reports, Incredibles 2 is currently tracking to have an opening weekend of around $140 million. That would make it the single largest opening weekend for any animated film in history. Now, the current biggest opening for an animated film belongs to Pixar's Finding Dory, which opened in 2016 with $135 million. That movie went on to join the $1 billion club. Only 6 films in history have made over $1 billion at the box office. Those films are Frozen, Minions, Toy Story 3, Despicable Me 3, the aforementioned Finding Dory, and the recent Zootopia. A number like 140 million is outstanding, and as we just said, it would mark the biggest opening for an animated film in history. I can't help but wonder if this movie only had come out 4 or 5 years ago and we hadn't had to wait this long. I wonder if it could have been an even bigger number. Now, at this point, there's nothing guaranteeing that these tracking numbers will actually come to fruition. Maybe it'll be a little bit more, maybe it'll be a little bit less. But if it does come in at that $140 million range, you have to consider that it joining that $1 billion club becomes a possibility. And it is funny when you think about it, out of the 30 plus films in history that have joined the $1 billion club, only 6 of those movies have been animated films. You would think that that number would be a little bit higher. If Incredibles 2 can, say, match the quality of the first one, and if it can reach that $140 million mark on its opening weekend, you could be looking at the 7th animated film at any rate in history to join that $1 billion club. And, well, that would be nice and everything. The big question is, will it be as good as the first one, or even close to as good as the first one? That's the important question. But you can't help but wonder about really what the ceiling of success could be if this film is anywhere near as good as the original. Next up, as a company, Netflix may not make an awful lot of profit, but when it comes to its stock, it is now the most valuable media company in the world. According to a report in Variety, shares of Netflix closed up to 1.3% for the day to bring each share in at $349.29 per share. That gives the company a market cap of about $161 billion. Now, by comparison, Disney stock is currently at around $102.11 per share, yielding a market cap value of $152 billion. Now, it's important to keep in mind we're only talking about value when it comes to its stock shares and its stock prices and its market cap value. Disney has a lot of other things going. They own tons of property. They generate more profit than Netflix does and all that kind of stuff. Still, this is kind of an interesting thing when you look at a streaming service like Netflix, which not too many years ago was just this little mail-order DVD service and is now a streaming giant. It is being reported they're going to be putting in $8 billion just into creating their original content alone. Now, they're saying at the end of quarter one, they generated somewhere around $3.7 billion, but that's not profit. Out of 3.7 in revenue, 3.7 billion in revenue, only about 280 of that million, only about 280 million of that was actual profit. The rest was kind of in expenditures and things like that. So it's different when it comes to those. Depending on which way you're looking at it, it can be viewed in different ways. But still, to have a market cap of $161 billion is absolutely massive and huge. Now, how much cash they have on hand, how much profit they actually generate, these are all different questions. But it's just an enormous number when you really sit back and think about it. And it really does put into context where in the whole scheme of things of giant media companies, where Netflix actually comes into play. And finally, a number of years ago, Lucasfilm was looking at producing a standalone Boba Fett movie to be directed by Chronicle director Josh Trank until Disney parted ways with the director due to the offset drama surrounding him. Now, years later, it looks like the Boba Fett movie project is back on, as The Hollywood Reporter is claiming that Lucasfilm has brought on Logan director James Mangold to both write and direct a feature film about the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. On top of Logan, Mangold has directed such films as 3:10 to Yuma, which is awesome, Walk the Line, which is awesome, Girl Interrupted, which is awesome, and Copland, an amazingly underrated film, which is, well, awesome. No details have been given on when such a movie would go into production. I mentioned this in a standalone video last night when this news broke, and I'll say it here again, and you guys have heard me say this for years now. I'm not really all that interested in a Boba Fett movie. I'm just not. I want stories that get told in the Star Wars universe moving forward. I want to explore characters and places we've never met and we've never seen. The Star Wars universe is a vast, giant place. I don't understand why Lucasfilm continues to feel the need to shrink the galaxy more and more and more. Now, with that being said, I also mentioned last night this, that bringing the name James Mangold on board? All right, yeah, I've not been interested in a Boba Fett movie, and in principle, I'm still kind of not, but how can you not at least be a little bit interested when James Mangold's name gets... Like, to me, Logan was simply the best film of 2017. Period, end, stop, no further discussion needed. Logan was the best movie of 2017. The fact that he directed it, and directed it so brilliantly, and so much of that film was his vision, along with Hugh Jackman... And when you look down that laundry list that we just talked about of all the other films he's directed as well, this dude has done some great stuff. So even though in principle, the notion of a standalone Boba Fett movie is not something that's going to get my gears going, I gotta admit, how can I not at least become a little bit interested with Mangold directing it? Now, this movie may not be coming for 5 years. It may come in a year and a half. We just don't know. They haven't given any kind of word on that. And it should be noted that right now, even though The Hollywood Reporter is pretty much as reliable as it gets, we haven't heard confirmation yet from Lucasfilm or Mangold himself. I expect something to be said sometime relatively soon. Now, I don't think this has anything to do with the proposed Obi-Wan movie. That may or not be coming in the next year or in the next 5 years either. So whether we get an Obi-Wan movie first or a Boba Fett movie first, I just don't know at this point. I don't think anybody other than the folks at Lucasfilm really know. But again, not interested in a Boba Fett movie. But if James Mangold's going to be directing, I at least have to get a little bit interested in it. And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. All right, and now you are all caught up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news. So now let's move on to our main topics. What are our main topics? Our main topics are topics submitted by you guys. You guys program this part of the show. How do you do that? Send me an email with your topic or question just to john@thejohncampeashow.com. Email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line. And also, guys, of course, keep the emails to 90 words or less, or else I can't even read them because I wouldn't even be able to fit them on the screen even if I wanted to. Okay, with that said, let's get to the first topic or question submitted by you guys. And the first one comes to us from Jeff Steinbeck, who writes, I just realized Bumblebee is still scheduled for December 21st. I know Aquaman is heading to reshoots, but has Bumblebee started shooting? Well, actually, yes, I think Bumblebee is actually wrap shooting. I haven't heard much from this project in a while. Do you think Paramount will blink and move Bumblebee to another date? Thanks and keep up the great work. Yes, you're right. As of right now, December 21st has Bumblebee set to release and Aquaman. But it's more than just that. Check this out. On Friday, the 21st of December, you've got Aquaman and Bumblebee, and you've got the new Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly comedy, Holmes and Watson, and you've got Alita Battle Angel, all coming out on the same day, Friday the 21st. Not to mention that, just the week before, you've got two significant movies open. You've got the new Peter Jackson-directed Mortal Engines, and you've got the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And the week after the 21st, you've got frickin' Mary Poppins, y'all, opening up, and some kind of untitled WB event film number 2, but I haven't really heard that that's been updated, so I don't know what that might be. So you've got Alita Battle Angel, Aquaman, Bumblebee, and a Will Ferrell comedy, Holmes and Watson, all opening on the same day. Something has to give, doesn't it? I mean, here's the thing. You can have multiple big films opening on the same day, particularly in the Christmas holiday week, because there's a lot of people going to movies. You can open up different films. But when you get films like, you have to assume that a film like Bumblebee and a film like Aquaman, they're kind of targeting the same demographic. So you would think that one of them would budge, but I don't know if either one of them is going to. I mean, the closer and closer we get, the less and less likely it is they're going to move one. So I'm not really sure. It is an awfully packed week, for absolutely sure. How's Alita Battle Angel going to do, by the way? Because it's going to be going after some of the same demographic as well. Is Alita Battle Angel going to be able to stand up to a Bumblebee and an Aquaman? I don't know. Now, the one film that's in the best shape here is probably Holmes and Watson, the Sherlock Holmes comedy with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, because it's the most different out of those three films. Out of any of those four films, I should say, out of any of those four films, that Holmes and Watson is the one that's probably got a different appeal to a different demographic. So while you're going to have Alita Battle Angel, Bumblebee, Aquaman, all fighting over that kind of one demographic, Holmes and Watson's going after a little bit of a different demographic, and they actually might be in the best shape out of all. Not that they're going to win that weekend's box office, not at all, but they're probably going to be least hurt from their potential than any of the other three films are. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that all shapes up. All right, let's move on to the second email today. And the second email today comes to us from Trevor Thornley, who writes, with the news on Comcast placing a deal to buy Fox, does Disney still acquire the comic book properties from Fox? Everybody's worrying that X-Men and Fantastic Four might not be going to Marvel Studios, but Marvel Studios owns those rights. Okay, look, this has come up many, many, many times, but I keep getting people asking me literally every day. I'm getting this question. No matter how many times I address it, I get this every day, so it does bear repeating one more time. The question is, if Comcast gets Fox, doesn't X-Men and Fantastic Four all go back to Marvel anyway, since Fox doesn't have the right to sell the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four to anybody else? So doesn't that just automatically mean they would revert back to Disney? The answer to that is no. And here's why. If Comcast buys Fox and breaks Fox up and tries to sell off various assets of Fox, then yes, the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four would automatically revert back to Disney. However, if Comcast buys Fox and just keeps Fox intact and lets Fox continue to operate and make their movies and all that kind of stuff, they just own them now, they just have a new ownership, then X-Men and Fantastic Four all stay with Fox, regardless if they have a new owner or not. Here's the illustration I've been given before, and I'll give it here again. Tom Brady, the quarterback of the New England Patriots, he has a contract with the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are owned by Robert Kraft. If somebody comes along and buys the New England Patriots from Robert Kraft, let's say I buy the New England Patriots from Robert Kraft, and now I own the New England Patriots. That doesn't change anything for Tom Brady. His contract is with the New England Patriots. It doesn't matter who owns the New England Patriots. Tom Brady has a contract with the New England Patriots, and the New England Patriots are still intact and still operating. Therefore, even though there's a new owner, it doesn't matter. He still has a contract with the New England Patriots. If Comcast comes along and buys Fox and keeps Fox intact and just keeps operating as it is, then the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four stay exactly where they are. Now, if they break up Fox and they try to do different things, yeah, there are scenarios there in which Fantastic Four and X-Men would revert back to Disney. But the reality exists that if Comcast buys Fox, keeps it intact, and just owns and operates them, then nothing changes. They stay with Fox. So there's this misnomer out there that no matter what happens, X-Men and Fantastic Four are going back to Disney. And that's not true. There are scenarios in which that will happen, but there are also scenarios in which it doesn't happen. So we're just going to have to sit back and wait and see how that all kind of works out and see how this deal thing works out at all. I mean, it's just, this thing's getting so convoluted, it's crazy. All right, let's move on now to the final email question of the day. And the final email question today comes to us from Travis Gowan, who writes, "We are currently living in an era of some all-time great athletes and some amazing sports stories. However, mainstream sports-based films seem to be few and far between. In the early 2000s, we seemed to get multiple sports films each year. What caused the drop-off, and do you see a resurgence in the future?" Well, here's the thing, Travis. Let me bring up a little thing here. You're saying like they're not making sports movies anymore. In 2017 alone, all right? In 2017, we had the amazing Battle of the Sexes with Emma Stone and Steve Carell. That movie is amazing. That's a tennis sports movie. We had the Goon sequel. We had I, Tonya, which was a multiple Academy Award nominated film about the sport of figure skating. We had Borg McEnroe. If you want to call, technically, I guess you could call Cars 3 a sports movie. So there's that. Then we had a couple of smaller ones like Slamma-Jamma. We had Jawbone, stuff like that. So we had multiple films, sports films, come out in 2017. Well, what about 2016? Let's go back 1 year. We had Pele, Birth of a Legend. We had Hands of Stone come out. We had Bleed for this come out. We had Eddie the Eagle. By the way, I'm still shocked so many of you didn't watch Eddie the Eagle with Taron Egerton and Hugh Jackman. That movie was great. We had Queen of Conway. Granted, that was chess, more of a game than a sport. But so we had multiple studio sports movies come out in 2016. In 2017, 2015, we had Creed come out. We had Concussion come out. We had Southpaw come out. We had McFarlane USA come out. Multiple sports movies come out in 2015. So the basic point here is this, is that Hollywood continues to make sports movies. Some fictional, some based on true stories. The difference is we're not getting any massively big hits. It's just a reality that for the most part, there are exceptions, but for the most part, the sports movies just don't make a huge amount of money at the box office. You put out the right sports movie at the right budget, you can make a tidy little profit, for sure. But you're not getting a $500 million film. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Hollywood is absolutely putting out the sports movies. They're coming out every single year, multiple of them, every year. But they're not huge hits. It's the sports genre isn't a massively popular genre. Every once in a blue moon, you'll get a big hit. But yeah, they've been putting out some great films. Like I said, some Academy Award potential films like Battle of the Sexes, I, Tonya, things like that. So they're there. It's just that not everybody goes to see them or talks about them. That's really the big difference. But they are making those films. Okay, with that stuff out of the way, let's take a few minutes here now because I've got about 10 minutes left here. Let's go over and take some live questions from you guys. You guys have been firing in live questions. The first live one comes to us from Amin, who writes, "Don't want a Boba Fett film, but I guess if they're going to do it with Mangold is a perfect choice. But it can't even slightly be like Logan since it's Disney." Oh, sure it can. It can absolutely be like Logan. Like, look, it's a Star Wars universe. You're not going to hear a lot of swearing, but it can be violent. Like, look how many people die in Pirates of the Caribbean movies. How many people get stabbed and die in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? Tons. You can make it like Logan. You can't be R, but we've seen time and time again, you can make some pretty edgy PG-13 stuff. And you can absolutely do that. Now, that's not to say that they will make Boba Fett in a way to try to be like Logan just because James Mangold's directing it. I'm not excited about James Mangold because he'll make it just like Logan. I'm excited about James Mangold because he's proven he's a great director. He can do great things with great characters. But hey, if they want to make it dark or whatever, they can. They can. You can do a lot of stuff with PG-13. And without the swearing, that makes it even easier for them to do it. Alexander Helmer writes, Did you see the trailer for Papillon? It looks great. So for those of you who don't know, Papillon is this new film with Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy and Robbie Malek from Mr. Robot, and he's going to be Freddie Mercury in the new Bohemian Rhapsody film. It's a nice looking trailer. It's a nice looking trailer about a dude who's framed for murder. Apparently it's based on a true story. I've never heard of this before, but apparently it's based on a true story about this guy who gets framed for something he didn't do and ends up in this prison system and sent to this French island, and he's trying to plan an escape and blah, blah, blah. My one problem with the Papillon trailer is that it seemed to give away an awful lot. Like, it seemed to walk you through all the story beats of the movie. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but on its surface, it looks like they give away practically the whole film. Still, it's a nice looking trailer. I have no opinion on Robbie Malek because I've never watched Mr. Robot. And obviously I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody yet, so I have no idea if he's a great actor or a terrible actor. He's won some awards, so he's got to be not bad. But yeah, it's a good looking trailer. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on YouTube right now. Follows up by the way, do you think there's a good chance this film is being developed for the streaming service? I think it's very possible. No, absolutely not. There's no way. You don't get on a James Mangold for something like this. Look, Solo is about to open to over $100 million. All right? You don't take a movie. Boba Fett would be guaranteed to make over $100 million opening weekend. You don't put that movie on a streaming service. With a TV show like a Jon Favreau direct, yes, you can do that. Boba Fett, nah. Now watch, that's exactly what they do. But my guess right now is no. They're not going to put in that much money to make a standalone film that's only a one-shot story. Like the Star Wars TV show, you're going to get 12 episodes out of that per year. With something like a Boba Fett, no, that's a one-shot thing. You want to make the money on that. You put it in theaters. It's guaranteed to make over $100 million opening weekend. So, yeah, I think there's very little possibility that they're making this for the streaming service. It will then eventually end up on the streaming service, but it will be, for its initial release, it's going to be for theatrical for sure. Dimsum05 writes, DirecTV Now just updated their interface, a lot slicker, and you can now record. Best bang for the buck, in my opinion. Now, for those of you who don't know what Dimsum's talking about, I've been a cord cutter for a lot of years. And recently, in the last couple of years, several services on Roku and whatever allow you to get live TV. Like it started with Sling. At least that's the one I started using. I use Sling TV. So I could get like 30 or 40 of the most popular channels. I paid like 25 bucks a month, and I get 30 or 40 of the most popular channels on my Roku through Sling TV. Great. But since then, there have been a lot of other options. PlayStation has a TV service. DirecTV Now has a service. You can pay 30 or 40 bucks and get like 40 or 50 of the most popular stations. I went through an awful lot of these, and I ended up on YouTube TV. So I ended up going with YouTube TV because it's got a fantastic TV guide interface. It's got the ability to go back and watch old episodes, much like a Hulu service. It's got the ability to program it to record all new episodes of TV shows that you like that come up on air. It's got you have your own unlimited personal DVR digitally online. It's got a lot of advantages. Now, I heard for a while that DirecTV was going to be upgrading to have a better interface because their interface wasn't so good. But also to offer the option for recording, and that's great. So I'm glad to hear that. Look, the better the services, the more options for the consumers, and that's always good. For me right now, I'm going with YouTube TV. It works very well for me. Dim Sum saying DirecTV has now been updated. There's a lot of good choices. Sling TV is still a good choice, by the way. So lots of good options out there. Oh, Hulu also has. You pay an extra 30, 35 bucks a month for Hulu, and they also give you like 30 or 40 channels as well. So there's a lot of good options out there now. Steve Rowley writes, which movie would you see again this weekend? Avengers, Deadpool 2, or Solo? For me, it's Deadpool 2. I like all of these movies very much, but for me, it's Deadpool 2. Yeah, Deadpool 2 out of those three is my favorite film. I mean, my favorite movie of the year so far is still A Quiet Place. To me, that's still the best movie of the year. But out of these three, Avengers, Deadpool 2, and Solo, I like all of them. I like all of them very much. But I'm going to go watch Deadpool 2 again. Out of those three, that's probably my favorite out of the three. Bomb Squad writes, they should make Boba Fett's suit vibranium. Wouldn't that be funny? Bomb Squad follows it up. Deadpool 2, Solo, and Infinity War all in 1 month. It's not just all in 1 month. They're all in theater right now. This is a crazy time to be a film fan, because you could walk over to your local movie theater and all at the same time, you can walk in and watch Avengers Infinity War, you can walk in and watch Deadpool 2, or you can walk in and watch Solo Star Wars Story, all at the same time. That is nuts. It's an awesome time to be a film fan. Bomb Squad also follows up. Just saw an interview with Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany literally texted Ron Howard if he could be in Solo, and Ron said yes. Seeing it today in glorious IMAX. Well, I hope you enjoy yourself. Again, I went and go see it. I went and saw it again last night with a bunch of friends. I really enjoyed that film. I have not seen this interview with Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany gives some great interviews, though. It's funny. You should look up the interview with Paul Bettany, where he tells the story about when he got the call that they wanted to make Vision a character in the MCU and they wanted him to play Vision. He tells this amazing story that he had literally just come out of a meeting with an agent of his that had literally just finished telling him, you're never going to get a big role again in Hollywood. And Paul Bettany tells a story that I just came out of this meeting with this agent telling me that I'm never going to be in a big movie again. I'm never going to get a big role again. He goes, so I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard. I'm feeling kind of bummed out. And my phone rings, and it's the guys from Marvel saying, we want to make Vision a character. We want you to play Vision. It's an amazing story. I'm not doing the story any justice. You should look up the way him telling the story. It's absolutely incredible. And of course, now he's in Solo, a Star Wars story. And he's wonderful in it, of course. But yeah, I love Paul Bettany. Love Paul Bettany. In Poor Taste Humor writes, if you were to remake The Expendables in 15 years with a new cast, who would you put in it using current star? Oh, I don't know. That's not something I can just think of off the top of my head in Poor Taste. That's something I would have to sit down and think about for a while. I mean, obviously you'd include names like The Rock would have to be in there. Obviously, you put in Jason Statham, who's still a current big action star, although he's already in Expendables there. So yeah, I don't know. It's again, it's something I would have to sit down and think about, not something I can pull off the top of my head. But what do you guys think? If people who are action stars right now, there's not a lot of action stars these days. See, that's the other tricky thing. There's not a lot of legit action stars. There are some actors in action movies, but very few legit action stars anymore. Like the only guys I can really think of off the top of my head are a Jason Statham and The Rock. The other legit action stars are few and far between at this point. Let's see. Shamanth writes, Boba Fett always looked cool. Apart from that, I never understood why people love him so much. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people who ask that, and it's understandable. But there's something, and this is why one of the reasons why I don't want them to make a Boba Fett movie, is it's the mystery of him. It's just, look, Han Solo himself has only visibly shown fear at the sound of two names. One is Jabba the Hutt, one is Boba Fett. That's it. Even in the face of Vader, he doesn't look scared, although I'm sure deep down he is. But Han Solo himself has only visibly shown fear at the mention of two names. Jabba the Hutt, Boba Fett. That's it. The fact that he's the most feared bounty hunter and we know next to nothing about him. I mean, it's the mystery. It's the unknown about him that, to me, makes him so cool. Not to mention the look is fantastic. It's a terrifically designed character, so he looks fantastic. But yeah, I can see why a lot of people would look at him and say, wait a minute, this dude was in like 4 minutes of screen time in the Star Wars movies. Why is he so popular? I totally get that. I hear it all the time. I really do. Samantha also follows up with, Tom Cruise is bankable up to an extent. Well, every actor is bankable up to an extent. Tom Cruise, you put him in some movies, it'll just flop. Like, say, Jack Reacher to Never Go Backwards and Step Up to the Plate #5. I mean, so that flops. He's in some big franchises, and the franchises do well, sure. But, I mean, really bankable means you could drop him in any movie and the box office instantly takes a spike up, like Dwayne Johnson does. So I'm not so sure that Tom Cruise is considered bankable. He's marketable. He's totally marketable. Bankable, I'm not so sure yet. Let's see. Last question of the day. And don't worry, guys. For all the rest of the questions that are here, I'm going to take those and put them in the companion video. You might be saying, John, where has been the companion video? There hasn't been a ton of questions in the companion video list yet, and I just wanted to wait to get a couple more to do them. So now that there's going to be a few more, I am going to do the companion video. That'll be up first thing tomorrow morning, so keep your eyes open for that. All right, anyway, Murray writes, as the final question today, If the film revolves around Boba Fett going on an assassination / bounty hunting missions, then I'm on board. But if it's about him young, like in Attack of the Clones, then I will be, meh. Oh, no kidding, man. No kidding. Look, I'm already not sure I'm on board with this thing. I completely wouldn't be on board with it if it wasn't for the name James Mangold. James Mangold, okay, you got me interested. But yeah, if we find out this is going to be some kind of BS, like, it's going to be a teenager Boba Fett as he's going to high school and the awkwardness of trying to fit in and hook up with the girl. Like, if they did something like that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm completely off on that. Completely off. It's got to be him going after the biggest score of his career. Now, when do you do this movie? Either way, it's a prequel. Not necessarily a prequel to the original trilogy, but it's clearly a prequel to where Star Wars movies are now. So it's not going to be held in the current timeline. So where in the timeline is it going to be held? Is it going to be held pre-original trilogy? Is it going to be held after the events of Return of the Jedi and he crawls out of the Sarlacc pit? Is that going to be when it picks up? Either way, it's still going backwards in storytelling, which I just don't like Star Wars doing, but still. It's going to be interesting to see where they do it and what storyline they go with. But I am in complete agreement with you, Murray. Them announcing what their story is going to be a big factor in determining whether I'm really on board with this movie or getting off this movie completely. So we'll just have to wait and find out. Okay, once again, guys, for all of you who sent in live questions I didn't get around to, don't worry, those will be on the companion video first thing tomorrow morning. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Hey, guys, I want to make sure you know, I mentioned this yesterday, but I'll mention it again today. Starting on Monday, I'm going to be trying something just a little bit different with the John Campea Show. You guys, of course, remember Migdalia Melendez. She's great. And, of course, Jason Inman. What's going to be happening is with the movie news feed, I'm going to start doing the movie news feed with one or the other, with Jason or Migdalia, and maybe the other odd guests. Because I used to have them come in just to do commentary on one topic, but I'm going to have them join me for all the movie news feed now. And we'll see how that goes. We're going to try that for a few weeks, see if you guys like it. If you do, awesome. If not, no problem. We'll stop doing it. But starting Monday, we're going to be doing that, and I'm really excited about trying that out. Hey, guys, listen. If you are somebody who likes my programming, do me a favor. Head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea to get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps the show on the air, and what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter. Benefits like audio-only versions of the shows. You get the exclusive Facebook group, and part of the exclusive Facebook group is that Star Wars Talk is now going to be an exclusive Patreon supporter show only on the Facebook page, because I had decided to cancel the show, but then some Patreon supporters saying, hey, how about instead of canceling it, just put it on the Patreon Facebook page? And I went, yeah, that's not a bad idea. So we're going to be starting that here pretty soon. And so if you decide to become a Patreon supporter, awesome. And if not, that's totally fine. I'm just grateful that you're here being a film fan with us. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Don't forget, I'll be back again this afternoon at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Open Mic, which is just an hour long of all open mic questions. I hope you guys will join me then. That'll do it for me. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.